Okay, so I wasn't planning on making a video about this, but I had somebody in my Discord and a streamer I was watching today talk about the concept of 100 men versus one gorilla. And I didn't know this was a thing. I'm not on like Twitter or TikTok or anything to see where a lot of these viral things start anymore. And I saw this like a few days ago. I was watching the NFL draft and I saw somebody talk about this, and I'm like, why are so many people talking about this concept of like one gorilla versus 100 dudes? Now, I thought at first, is it like, do the dudes got weapons, or is it just like, what's the case here? And apparently the concept is 100 men, bare knuckles versus a gorilla. And you would think people would be smart enough to believe or to know that gorillas win that. Hands down, nope. The gorilla, not gorillas, win that hands down. But the funny thing about humans is we often underestimate everything. And that's probably why, I think it's Darwinism, is a thing, the survival of the fittest. Or am I getting it, evolution? I don't know, the concept that, the thing, people do things. I'm terrible at explaining this. But you know what I mean? Like, we learn from dumb people, okay? Dumb people exist in this world and has existed throughout history, so we can learn from them. We learned, probably, I would assume, that you can't fight a gorilla because somebody at one point in time thought they could fight a gorilla and learned that you die pretty quickly. But, nowadays, when we have gorillas behind glass and you can go visit them at the zoo, I think a lot of people think they're dumb enough to be able to fight a gorilla. I believe there's a story out there that Mike Tyson tried to pay a guy that owned a gorilla, like millions of dollars or like hundreds of thousands of dollars to let him fight the gorilla. And luckily enough, that guy was smart enough to not take Tyson's deal. But yeah, I just loved the concept because I was watching, it was Valkyrie, and she was like, 100 guys totally win that, right? And I'm like, no! And luckily, a lot of her chat were like, no, not at all. Valkyrie's idea was that surely there's enough men that would rush the gorilla and try to scrape out his eyes. That was her concept. And I was all like, if you could get close enough, sure, go for the eyes, but that doesn't kill a gorilla. You know what I mean? Even a blind gorilla could probably still kill 100 men. Because you gotta think about it. I said this in my Discord, because this popped up in my Discord a few days ago and we were talking about it. A gorilla is so powerful. There's a video right now that is getting millions of views that came out like a year ago that was, a man versus gorilla, or just talking about how strong gorillas are. And I saw this video after this whole thing came out, and gorillas are like 27 times stronger than humans. Like, it's insane. Like, also, they're like filled with testosterone. That's why they're so big and their muscles are so jacked or whatever. These gorillas will kill 100 men and then steal all of their women. Like, that's how gangster gorillas are. And so, like, it blows my mind that 100 dudes, like, there's a lot of people out there that think 100 dudes would win. Look, you could probably, if they're all Mike Tyson, I think they still lose. You know what I mean? But I'm going to assume you're going to have a variety of men, right? That's probably what's going to happen with these hundreds of gorillas. You're probably going to have dudes that look like me because you're going to want some quickness, right? Not saying that I'm quick, but, usually fast dudes, kind of thin, unless you're going to be getting a bunch of NFL players. But, like, for the most part, you're going to have skinny dudes in there probably because, they were squirmy like that. You're going to want to, what? You're going to want to try to squirm. But still, here's the problem. If I don't dodge fast enough, which granted, I'm not going to be fast enough to dodge a gorilla. Have you not seen fucking Donkey Kong, like, does the spin in Super Smash Brothers or whatever he does? Like, I'm pretty sure a real gorilla can do that. But, like, the thing is, I become a weapon, okay? If for whatever reason the gorilla doesn't kill me in one punch, which he would smash my face, or he could bite it, by the way. Gorillas apparently have insanely crazy jaw strength. Could just bite my head off and just start slurping on my brain and shit. That would be insane. But imagine gorilla grabs me. I'm like, oh no, mommy. And then rips off my head, slurps out the brain. And then he's like, oh, I got this body here. And then it becomes a weapon. He just grabs me by my arm, probably both of my legs that'll probably be a little bit sturdier. And then he just starts swinging me around like I am a weapon. And so the rest of my body is just going to start hitting dudes. So now the gorilla, who had to worry about 100 dudes from all sides, now has a juice in his hands, and he's just hitting people. He's probably just 10 guys right there. I will take that stat, by the way, in heaven when I go up. Well, maybe that makes me go to hell then. You know, if I'm up there and I'm like, checked in, got killed by a gorilla, and then freaking, I don't know, the guy at the pearly gates is like, we got, why is your kill count going up right now? We had you at 0, but since you got here, it's been like 20. You know, my kill counter is going to be going up because my body's going to be used to kill people. Like, that's kind of unfair for me. The gorilla kills me twice, essentially, you know? Kills my human form and then kills my soul form, sending me to hell. So it's just like, dude, there's just no way you're gonna beat a gorilla. And it's just like the concepts, like everybody's like, stamina, man, we'll outrush him. So what, are we fighting in a field now? Is this in an arena? Because are we fighting in the jungle? You know what I mean? Because a gorilla is gonna have to, like, I don't know, I feel like you could do everything in the favor of humans and you still lose. Like, we're like, okay, we surround him in a freaking circular thing and we're all around him. There's no way. Dude, I also told this in my Discord. I was like, you have to account for actual, like, human PTSD and human anxiety in this fight. Because, yeah, everybody might be like, yeah, let's do this. But the moment the freaking bullets start flying, to use a war reference, people are gonna puss out, all right? I shouldn't even say that. Like, you know, that's not, this is 100 men versus women. But you know what I'm saying? Like, people are gonna get mad and they're gonna be like, no, can't do it. And people are just gonna run, okay? And it's just not gonna happen. And you gotta take into account for that. Like, there are gonna be people that just freeze, because not everybody is like fight or flight and like down to do it. Maybe you do get 100 dudes that are down to fight. But look, if you've ever been in the real world and you've ever been around people that fight, there are dudes that always want to fight, and when it comes down to actually fighting, they're sometimes the ones that walk away. So it's just like, all right, let's be real. I think a lot of people would be down. Again, even if you did have 100 people that were like down and were gonna do it, and they're like all built like Mike Tyson, dude, I think I heard this, I don't know if I read this in a comment or what, but just, you could punch with the force of Mike Tyson, who even the strongest punch in the world, I don't know who the strongest punch in the world is. That punch straight to a gorilla's jaw is probably going to break your wrist and shatter your hands more than it's going to hurt the gorilla at all. So you're still going to get hurt while punching. And look, I don't watch a lot of UFC. I have seen UFC, but I have seen dudes break both of their hands in that sport, and they basically have to stop the match because they can't really keep fighting. And, you know, some of them do kind of get through it, but, you know, maybe it's because they break one hand or whatever. But the dudes that have broken both hands, I've seen the fight stopped. So if you are breaking your hands on the body of the gorilla, if you're close enough to get it hit, which, by the way, you're probably only going to get 1, maybe 2 hits if you're lucky, you're shattering your bones trying to fight this thing while he's just like mosquito and just like knocking you out and destroying you. Like, it blows my mind that this is actually a consideration, but, you know, I surprisingly still see people talk about this. I wanted to chime in. It's a stupid topic, and I felt like it was just, you know, with the new style of videos, with the new, you know, Vita being over and me just kind of wanting to ramble about stuff, I figured like this was the best thing to chime in on. And again, I got requested in my Discord for covering a topic like this. But yeah, let me know if you want to see me talk about stupid shit like this again in a ramble tone. I just thought it was funny that people actually think that 100 dudes can beat a gorilla. Like, go for the eyes. Come on, Valkyrie. You're awesome, but that's crazy. That's crazy. A blind gorilla, I think, still beats 100 men. But anyways, guys, that's it. I'm done. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Bye. Boop.